All right, welcome to Common Sense Investing. Welcome to another Monday evening live stream. My name is Cameron. I'm going to sit around here and make sure that I got some sound, do a little bit of a sound check, make sure I can hear myself, make sure other people can hear me. I think everything's fine. And yeah, what a day. It's been a crazy, wild day in the stock market today and last week. Up last week, down this morning, a lot more volatility to come the rest of this week. And that's what I'm going to talk about. Awesome. My sound's working. I can move forward. First thing I have to point out here before I get started, new get up. I normally wear some plaid with like a brown vest or a black vest. I do want to say that Pierre Polyev and the conservatives like my channel so much. They watch Common Sense Investing all the time. And the conservatives just said, look, we need to develop some common sense merch. So that's what they did. This is what I'm wearing today. Common Sense for Canada merch. Look at that. It's not my merch, but I wish it was. Common Sense for Canada. Absolutely love it. I thought I'd show it off right off the start today before I get to my presentation. And I promised Wolf of Oakville I'd wear this thing today. So if he's watching, cheers. I wore it. I showed it off. A little bit of Common Sense Investing merch here. And my coffee with cayenne pepper, because I'm going to need it to stay awake talking about all these depression here on a Monday in the markets. How's everybody doing today? Looks great. You could hear me. Hey, Cam. Excellent. Looks great. Yeah, I love the damn thing. Everybody says that a rising tide floats all boats, and we use that all the time when talking about the stock market as well, right? Everything's going well and the economics are doing good. Everybody's making money. Everybody's happy. Maybe there's a bubble in artificial intelligence and all the stocks in that sector or all the stocks in an index go up, right? Rising tide floats all boats. But what happens when the tide is out, right? That was probably today, Monday, as I record this. This is Halls Harbor, Nova Scotia. Lovely little town, very little in it. Very remote. It's on the Bay of Fundy in Canada, in Nova Scotia. Go look it up. Beautiful little place with a lobster restaurant right on the ocean, right? And this is Halls Harbor at high tide. You can see the little, fishing boats there, almost high tide. It looks like it's down maybe a foot or two from high tide, according to the watermark here, but a few little fishing boats floating in the harbor, little harbor they have, and the flags flying. This little red barn here really caps it off. All this red as you're looking with the ocean in the background, right? This is Halls Harbor at high tide. The Bay of Fundy has some of the, or is it, I think, the record for tides in North America, if not the world. Same place, same little red barn, just at low tide. And you can see all these old fishing boats just sitting here basically beached. Can't go anywhere. They're mending nets and sipping some ale, right? So you could see the massive amount of difference. Low tide, high tide, low tide, high tide. This was last week. This was high tide. This was Thursday and Friday. This picture, I think, was taken end of the day Friday. This is the year-to-date column. Year-to-date column, all on the right here. And you could see some green starting to show up after what has been pretty challenging. January hasn't exactly been a super huge bull market. But we're starting to get some hope where you're starting to see a little bit more green than red, especially over here with some of these potential stocks, right? So that was Friday at high tide. This is Monday at low tide. All of a sudden, all this red is back, right? High tide on Friday, low tide on Monday. So that's what we're going to talk about today. What's happening, some of the volatility. I know people panic. Some people, when they go up 10% in stocks or microcap stocks, they're just super confident. And when we're down 5%, it's time to panic, and everybody kind of wants to know what's going on. So in this live stream, this is kind of what I'm talking about today. I'm not going to talk about too many specific stocks. As usual, if you got questions, throw them in there. If I notice your questions, I'll get to them. Otherwise, I'm just going to give my little presentation talking about some of this stuff, and we'll get through it. How was my day? Well, I'm pretty pissed off. That was my day, and I'll show you why here in a couple minutes. Now, before I get to it, even though I'm not going to talk about any specific stocks, don't forget, not a financial advisor, not your financial advisor. I really mean this. I don't know anything about you, your risk tolerance, your experience, how much capital you're working with, or anything else, right? So this isn't financial advice, these videos. I like to point out what I think are pretty good companies. They could turn into pretty good stocks. I just like talking about stocks on the stock market. So this is just communication, how I invest, not how to invest. And of course, you're probably getting sick and tired of me talking about it, but this is kind of my platform. Every stock that I talk about here on YouTube has been researched, discussed, researched again, discussed again in my Patreon Discord. So I'll put a link to my Patreon Discord down below in the pinned comment. And that's basically where I sit and talk about stocks, and research all these stocks before they ever hit YouTube. 33 people in this live stream, not bad. I was hoping for probably 50 or 60. We'll see if a few people start showing up over time. Probably a lot of people are depressed given how bad the market was today. I don't want to postpone the pain any longer. And this is why, because it's not, today just didn't hurt microcap investors. A lot of times I come on a live stream like this, and it's almost been frustrating because over the years, lots of times the mega cap stocks, the Magnificent Seven, have been going up and microcaps have not. And it really should be the other way around, right? Typically, you invest in microcap stocks because, yeah, they're higher risk, but there's also better potential reward. The last couple years, we've seen a lot of these larger stocks go up significantly. But when you get a super mega cap like NVIDIA down 17% today, that crushes a lot of hopes and dreams in the market. Not just, microcap investors, but index investors, your average stock market investor. A lot of people own NVIDIA stock. I don't know where it ended up at the end of the day. I think it was only down about 16%, came up another 1% after the market closed, I think. So it's only down about 15% right now. But I did hear that this was NVIDIA's largest drop since COVID and about $500 billion of market cap lost in the day. Go double check that. That's what I heard from another YouTube channel and thought, wow, that's a lot of money. So what happened? Why am I a microcap channel that's talking about this? Well, when the tide goes down, everything sinks. And that's basically what happened today. And it was unexpected, at least for me. This came out in the morning. A shocking Chinese AI advancement called DeepSeek is sending US stocks plunging. And basically, this is a Chinese AI program, said that they're better than ChatGPT, stunning capabilities, right? The company had said it just spent 5.6 million. I don't know if that's a typo, 5.6 million on computing power for its base model. So basically, they're saying that we can do better than ChatGPT with a tiny little fraction of the money. And you just have to trust them, right? So basically, somehow, magically, Chinese company comes in and is going to destroy the American AI industry because this company can do it better for much, much, much less money. Now, over the course of the day, even though the stock hasn't corrected, there's been some information coming out basically saying that potentially this company used NVIDIA chips and they weren't able to say so because it would have been illegal to import some NVIDIA chips. They were also saying that there was crashes in DeepSeek where not everybody was even able to register or log on. There was rumors that it was getting hacked. I mean, it just had an absolutely disastrous day. I know they interviewed this person here, looks a little bit like Sam Bankman-Fried, right? This is an open source program, but people put a lot of trust into DeepSeek that somehow, this company and others like it is going to win this Chinese versus American AI arms race. One day, people, all the gains over the past couple years in artificial intelligence. And all it takes is one day, one news article for everything to shatter. And that's basically what's happening here with, NVIDIA down 17%. Absolutely insane. This basically shows how frustrating today was for everybody else because we get it, right? Okay, here's this AI program. It's supposed to be better than some other AI programs. Pop the AI bubble. We know there's a bit of an AI bubble, right? A lot of AI stocks are super highly valued And we've all kind of been waiting for something to happen to pop that bubble and, bring the AI stocks back down to some kind of normal valuation. Instead, this somehow hurt everything and everybody. I mean, articles like this: worry spurred by Chinese AI chatbot DeepSeek sinks Cameco and TransAlta shares by double digits, right? This is uranium. Uranium producing peers, and your uranium producer is down significantly, double digits. Why? Because all of a sudden people panic. Well, if we can build AI for cheaper with no energy, magically, artificial intelligence is going to be done with very little energy now, right? That's what we're being told. Then, well, we don't really need an energy industry, not like we thought. So forget about all these nuclear reactors. Forget about oil and gas. We don't really need it anymore because we're going to have massive AI capabilities without any of that, raw resources or energy demands or anything else like that. So, and it wasn't just, uranium. This is just one example. Enterprise Group, right? So, a very localized Western Canadian, mostly in Alberta company that sells Evolution Power project systems to companies who are drilling natural gas, putting in a pipeline. Somehow DeepSeek caused Enterprise Group to go down 7.63% today. I just don't understand. McCoy Global as well. This is a drill baby drill drilling company, hopefully selling into the Middle East 40% and into the United States and Latin America about 60%. And somehow a Chinese AI company caused this stock to drop almost 4%. So absolutely massively frustrating day, but that's what I saw happening, as well as other stuff. I mean, the Japanese trade and everything else caused some other issues, but the big one today was DeepSeek. So let me know what you think, whether you think DeepSeek is full of shit, whether it is going to somehow destroy all these billion-dollar American companies, trillion-dollar American companies, or what's going on with that. But that's unfortunately not the end of the volatility this week. That was just the start. That was the unpredictable volatility. I didn't see that coming. I actually, after Thursday and Friday being such a good couple days in the market, stocks were going up. I actually was impatient this weekend, looking forward to Monday, because I thought we weren't really going to have any problems until February 1st. So this DeepSeek thing really threw a wrench in everything. What I thought was kind of going to be the next negative catalyst was, I know if you remember, I ran this post basically asking people, what were you going to do if there were tariffs? People mostly responded, 2/3 of you, and congratulations for being long-term investors, that you weren't going to adjust your investing portfolio at all because you buy only long. And if we get tariffs for a short amount of time, or for 12 months, or for 2 months, or who knows, it doesn't matter because you're a long-term holder of microcap stocks. A few people cashed up to buy the dip. Some people sold out. The 7.8% moved to crypto, and sometimes I can't blame them, right? But we get to test that again because coming up, of course, as you know, Donald Trump threatened another deadline on Canada, 25% tariffs. Arguably, he said starting February 1st, which I'm not sure if he was aware, if it matters to him, but that's actually a Saturday the last time I checked, right? But this is more volatility coming up in the markets, and I'm not going to go through this in order. So there's a few things I'm going to talk about that's happening this week. But the big one for me is Saturday, right? Tariffs. Also breaking, go check it out. This was released 30 minutes before I started this live stream, and even X basically says it's not necessarily verified. But I did watch a video of Donald Trump not too long ago talking about that, talking about tariffs to boost U.S. manufacturing, talking about plans on foreign-produced computer chips, semiconductors, pharmaceuticals, as well as steel, aluminum, and copper. So this was in a discussion or in a video that I watched that had nothing to do with Canada or Mexico. This was Donald Trump talking about individual niches or sectors, and specifically talking about this, including, ADF Group right here with steel, obviously one of my top stocks, and it just keeps getting kicked in the stuff, right? So that's not good. Go check that out. That was just breaking. Sunday, this happened Sunday, and this is fascinating for me. It created more volatility, but it was interesting to see because, you know, Donald Trump threatened 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico. Over the weekend, Colombia refused to accept some of the deportees from the United States, sending Colombian people back to Colombia that the United States had arrested, considered illegal, and was sending them back, right? So once Colombia refused to let these people back in their country, they showed up in a US plane. Donald Trump threatened all this stuff, including emergency 25% tariffs, a travel ban, and immediate visa revocations. I can't even say it right now, as well as all this other stuff, including 50% tariffs in a week. Immediately, the news basically started threatening Americans with an increased cost of coffee, crude oil, and cut flowers. So that was interesting, right? Conversation, basically imposing all this tariffs, and coffee and flowers was going to go up in price. And basically, within 10 hours, Colombia changed their mind, put out a press release saying that we're going to cave to all of Trump's demands. This is all finished, absolutely no problem. And that trade war, if you can call it that, was over in 10 hours from the threat of tariffs until basically Colombia saying, no problem, we'll take our people back, right? Now, it's interesting that they say that the lessons for Canada and Mexico and China, you should look at what Colombia did, right, and learn from it, because it's absolutely fascinating that, Colombia chose this route, basically saying, no problem, we'll get it done. We'll let our people back into the country, and there was no tariffs. Those tariffs have now been stopped as long as they continue to honor what they're doing. In the meantime, Canada is preparing for a trade war. And it's fascinating to watch the change in news, right? Trump could do incredible damage to Mexico and Canada with a single signature. The news instead says we should at least try to understand what in the world Donald Trump wants before we act. And instead, it seems like our politicians are just gearing up for a trade war. So they've basically done the exact opposite of what Colombia has done. And so I think the scary thing is, and I should have brought this poll into this live stream, but I think about a month ago when Trump announced tariffs against Canada, potential tariffs against Canada, I took a poll. And I think about most people, I think it was about 80, 70, or 80% of people thought that there was probably about a 1% chance that tariffs would actually hit Canada from the United States. I bet if I took a poll today, it would be a lot higher than 1% chance of tariffs hitting on February 1st, especially considering these new rumors coming out just, 30 minutes ago that this can hit not only Canada, but other countries. So it does seem like one way or another, Canada is potentially getting some tariffs in the near future. Adding to the volatility this week, and my God, what a stressful week for investors, right? Do you buy? Do you sell? Do you hold? What do you do? Even myself, who's a fairly calm investor, this week is a little bit crazy, right? It's all over the place because on top of how good last Thursday and Friday was, on top of how bad today was, Monday, Wednesday, we have not only the Bank of Canada's rate decision to potentially cut the rates by another 25 basis points, but we also have the U.S. Fed decision. I'm pretty sure I'd have to double check, but I think they're both on Wednesday. Is it Wednesday, Thursday, or both on Wednesday? I think it's both on Wednesday. Right now, they're saying that the Fed, the U.S. Feds, they might skip this interest rate cut. We'll see what happens. Again, for Canada, if we have another rate cut and the U.S. doesn't, I mean, this could hurt our currency a little bit further, and then potentially tariffs on February 1st. I don't know if all this is going to happen. Don't want to be the harbinger of bad news. All I'm saying is volatile. It's very volatile. It's a very hard time to buy or sell stocks right now, especially microcap stocks with all this volatility. And we'll talk about that in a minute. Not only that, this is it right here. Donald Trump just keeps rocking the markets with all these tariff threats, right? But there's other stuff that we're talking about this week to add more volatility. Thursday and Friday, we have US GDP. We have Friday, I think, is Canadian GDP, and the US has core PCE, which is the personal consumption expenditure, which is the main data point for the US when they're looking at inflation. So, I mean, Monday, DeepSeek, Wednesday, rate cuts, Thursday and Friday, GDP and inflation for Canada and the United States. Volatile, volatile, volatile week. So we could see a lot more of this where it's, either the tide is going to rise and raise a lot of stocks in price, or the tide is going to drop a little further and it doesn't. And we get another Monday. Changing the tune a little bit, I did want to point out before we get too late in the year, today is January 27th, and I talk about this every year, usually around November, and sometimes especially new investors don't really listen to me because they don't understand what's going on. So I did want to point it out. Ryan Telford, love this guy. He just keeps dropping all kinds of truth bombs on X or Twitter or whatever you want to call it these days. A lot of educational content, a lot of content that really gets me thinking. And Ryan Telford, dropping a little shit here on people, right? Getting a little feisty because he was getting upset with all the year-to-date return bros. Everybody who was on social media bragging about their 2024 returns, which for a lot of investors, some of the better investors, the best investors, a lot of people, whether they were being honest about it or not, were showing pretty good year-to-date returns in 2024. 2025 seems to have fewer of these people. I completely agree. A lot of people have gone away. They were out probably up until about January 5th, until the market started dropping again. One of the things that I wanted to comment on and show you, though, is my reply to Ryan Telford when I said that looking at my year-to-date returns, they were pretty meh, like not very good. But if you wind the clock back on the year-to-date to about December 15th, which was right kind of in the middle of the tax loss and gains selling, then I'm a king again. My returns were better. So I kind of wanted to show you before we move too far in the year how important these tax loss selling periods are for picking up good stocks at good prices. These are the same stocks. Now the difference here, and this is a cheat, I'll let you in on a secret. Why does Cameron at Common Sense Investing typically release all of my videos for 2025 stocks, 2024 stocks, 2023 stocks in December? It's for you and it's for me, because this is the kind of usually the bottom of the tax loss selling when you can get stocks at a deal. That's the reason I try to make these videos. You'll see these top stocks videos coming out usually around December 15th and not January 1st. Because when you get the discount for tax loss selling season, you get stocks at a pretty good deal. These are the same stocks. These are the same stocks taken on December 30th. That's when I released it. I think I recorded it on the 28th. That's when the prices would have been taken from. This one I released on the 23rd. I think I recorded it on the 22nd. And these are the year-to-date returns, or the returns, from when I made the video on the stock. And you could see the difference. The difference in return from buying a stock on December 22nd and 28th. Probably the returns would have been even better if this was rolled back to about the 15th versus year-to-date. If you'd have bought these stocks on January 1st or 2nd when the market's open for the new year, there's a lot of red here, right? A lot of the returns on these stocks went up between Christmas and New Year's. Typically, that's the Santa Claus rally. We see a lot of stocks go up during that time. And this year wasn't that exceptional. They didn't go up that much, but they still went up. So here's the beauty of paying attention, making sure that you build your portfolio for the year, at least I did, back in about the middle of December, and not wait past that tax loss selling season, because you could see the difference in returns. And that's why today was so frustrating for me, very frustrating, because everybody says, oh, it's a bad day, it's a good day to buy, it's giving me a buying opportunity. Not really, because if you look at the prices that we were seeing during tax loss season and other periods, like this is McCoy Global, and I really like McCoy Global. Today it was down 4% because of this DeepSeek issue, and people were talking about what a great time to pick up McCoy Global. Well, maybe, but I mean, it wasn't that long ago. You know, this was January 16th. So this was 11 days ago. It was at $2.59 and it hit that a couple times, right? This was about January 8th. So it spent about 10 days sitting at around $2.65, bouncing up and down. So basically, today didn't really give a buying opportunity, at least not for me, so much as it took all of this momentum where the stock was going up. And I thought, you know what? It's going to hit $3.50. It's going to hit $4 again. And instead, today just did that. So pretty upset about that. Pretty disappointing day today. I will like to say I ran a poll. This was fun because I was asking the question, which stock gets to $1 first? There was a lot of stocks on my channel that were kind of at the same price. Everyday People was at 74 cents. Zoomed was at 86 cents. Hash was at 74. Beware at 79. Cal Nano was at 83. And my long shot was Savio Holdings at 52. And I asked the question of which stock was going to get to $1 first. Most people pick Zoomed, and so far Zoomed is in the lead at 88 cents, though it has pretty well stalled out from this 86 cents price. 13% of people picked Everyday People Financial right behind Zoomed. It's sitting there at 87 cents, so it's in the number 2 spot. Number 3 is Cal Nano. It's up from 83 to 86. And then finally, Hash, Simply Solventless, is up from 74 to 80. So far, not the best. I would expect a little bit better in bull market, but these stocks are still kind of in the play for first stock to get to $1 on my channel. I would ask people, sometimes it's better to look at the stock that's falling behind and go ask yourself whether this one's just getting a little bit ignored for the moment and it will catch up later, or whether you don't want to own it. And that's fine too, right? But sometimes I like to look at some of these outliers and say, you know, what's the difference here? How come some of these other stocks are going up and this one isn't? So at the end of the day, that's just about 30 minutes of talking for me. The stock market giveth and the stock market taketh away, right? So, and that's what we've seen between last week and this week. Really tough to go from, you know, Thursday, Friday, getting my hopes up that we were finally going to see the start of a consistent bull market. Thought maybe we can get some rate cuts this week, drive it up a little further. And instead, for some reason, we get some random DeepSeek AI event that just decides to crash microcap stocks across the board. So cheers. Another day of volatility, and looking forward to another week of more volatility upcoming here. So that's all I had for my presentation. Questions, comments, concerns. How's everybody doing today? Anything you want to talk about that I didn't cover? Basically, this whole day, this whole presentation was macroeconomics, because why not? Pretty hard to talk about a single independent stock today when the whole market was absolutely dropping. Hope everybody's doing okay, making money still in the market, making good decisions, and still loving microcap stocks, because for me, this is sure fun, even though I didn't like what happened today, and I really didn't like that we could potentially have more tariffs coming up next week. That will be frustrating as hell for me, the way everything's been handled. So it's pretty upsetting. So yeah, the day was a little challenging. Not bad. I'm a pretty mellow dude for the most part. Takes a lot more than a bad market to kind of upset me, but it is frustrating. I hate the frustrating part of it when something happens that affects my stocks that really has nothing to do with them, right? Like if a company reports bad earnings and the share price goes down, no problem, right? We're in it to win it. You can't always get it right. Companies have bad earnings. Let's take another look. Let's reevaluate. But when it's some random event like DeepSeek AI out of China that hurts my stocks, That's absolutely crushing. Oklo off 20%. If $20 was a buying opportunity, what is 33.50? Yeah, I don't know. I don't look at that one. I know I've been staying away from commodities, everything, all of it. Uranium, Oklo, I know is a nuclear power stock, right? Very popular. I stay away from popular stocks as well, typically. So I've heard the ticker, but I don't know anything about it. Somebody took a risk and bought some more Enterprise Group today. Yeah, thanks, DeepSeek. Yeah, exactly, right? 7.63% down for Enterprise Group. What did they do? What changed? What happened today that somehow affected the oil and gas industry in Alberta? I don't get it. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me. MDA, a space company that makes satellites, is down almost 8%. Yeah, I've never heard of MDA. That's a small cap stock, right? That's the stock that Maxwell House on X, I think, bought today. Yeah, that looks like a pretty good company. I took a look at MDA just briefly for about 20 minutes. It's not in my niche. It's not a microcap stock. I think, what is it, a $3 billion, $4 billion stock? But it's yeah, I like that one. If I was looking at a small cap stock, I'd take a look at that one as well. And maybe, you know what, every once in a while I like to break my niche and have a little fun and try to get a few more viewers on my channel. So maybe I take a look at MDA, and you never know, maybe I make a video on them. We'll see how it goes, right? Whenever someone is fired, there's outrage over the halt of whatever that person did until the chain of command resets. Currently, it's taking a workday or less. A workday or less, yeah, for when people are fired. That's interesting. Kraken Robotics hit $3. Yes, they did, and now they're down again. And I've kind of been warning people, not warning people, but talking a little bit about that with Kraken Robotics, right? So they're having trouble getting through support and or sorry, resistance at around the $2.85 level. So I know a lot of people were excited. This was Kraken Robotics on last Thursday and Friday, and this was institutional buying, right? This is Cormark sitting here at a $3 share price. Cormark sitting here at a $3 share price. Raymond James sitting here at a $3 share price. So yes, Kraken Robotics hit $3. I had like a little mini party because I started covering them at about 28 cents, but they were at 30 cents for quite a while when I started covering them. So 30 cents to $3 is basically a 10x stock. Unfortunately, the thing is they keep bouncing off that resistance and they can't seem to smash through and hold it. So they got really bad luck today, basically, because this was their time to shine. This was the chance for Kraken Robotics to finally get up above $3. And then today hit. And what are they at now? What did they close today? Kraken Robotics today, $2.69 Canadian. Yeah, that's too bad, right? So let's see what we got here. FLTV, have you checked on them at all, hoping on Border Patrol contracts? Don't like that company. Don't care for that company. Look, I made videos on Volatus, which is the company that bought them, and I previously made videos exposing FLT. I thought that was the one of the worst companies on the venture exchange. Basically, they spent, what did they spend? Something like $120 million and had almost nothing to show for it. I saw FLT as just an incredible money suck, just a gas guzzler, cash guzzler, where people would give them money for all the potential they have in the future, and then they just wouldn't deliver. So they've got no support from me. I haven't checked on them. I'll never check on them again. And it was too bad because I didn't mind Volatus. And maybe if that company's management is running the whole outfit, which I don't think it is, maybe I'd take a look. But I'd rather wait, because here's the problem with some of these stocks. I don't know if my pen shows up on this, but basically, if you're always hoping, like the word hope there, I don't invest in hope. So, hoping that their border patrol contracts come in. When I look at a stock like FLT that really in my mind has never delivered anything to shareholders, they've lost any ability for me to look at them and say I have hope. Every equity was down in my portfolio today. Yeah, it I have on my, well, let's look at it here, right? What did I have? How many stocks do I have on this list if we go back? There it is right there, right? 44 stocks on these lists. There was one, two up. Both of these, Dominion Lending and VersaBank, are financial institutions. So I don't even know if I'd count them being up today as a victory. They had very, 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 very little to do with DeepSeek AI. Basically, Avant Core was up. Atlas Engineered Products was up. Flexible Solutions was up. Love this stock. I wish it would come down into a better price. And that was it. So 3 stocks on a list of 44 were actually in the green today. That's stunningly bad. I can't. Stunningly bad. Devastatingly bad. And the worst thing for me, like I said, was some of the stocks like McCoy, it didn't even drive the price down into like a buying range. They were just down, right? So pretty bad. OmniLight, yours up 7% today and might hit $1. Oh yeah, OmniLight on the US side might hit $1. That's good. I look at OmniLight on the Canadian side. I think it's about $1.30, $1.35. It's been holding firm at $1.35. OmniLight was in the middle of the forest fires in California, but they put out, California Nanotechnologies, who works in the same office as they do, put out a release on LinkedIn saying they weren't affected at all by the fires. So it was interesting that I was concerned that maybe they were going to be shut down over the California fires, but according to California Nanotechnologies, basically their sister company, they're fine. So I can't wait to see OmniLight's earnings. What do you think about Hash? Looks like the Q4 2024 is the next thing to watch. Yeah, for such a high risk stock, I really don't stress out about it very much, right? Catalyst, no catalyst. I think this is the stock. I think most people that bought Hash are kind of just saying, I'm going to hold for the next 12 months and aren't too worried about catalysts. We're just going to see how this year plays out because a lot of their acquisitions aren't even hitting the books yet until who knows when, right? Some of it's the next quarter, the quarter after that. And then this is a company that's going to have more acquisitions as they continue moving. So I don't know. I mean, there's not much to watch there, but this is a company that can also surprise us with more, or at least they've surprised me in the past where I didn't expect any news from them, and all of a sudden they drop news. They've acquired some new company, and great. So, I mean, I like cash. That's why, as you could see on that last slide, they are on which stock is going to get to $1 first, which is interesting in itself. I mean, if I can go back to that one, if I could find it again here. But I mean, we could talk more about that. Like cash is on there. Look at everyday people. This is stunning. This meteoric rise. And in my video, I think what's kind of been driving that is, if you notice, they've been using the $1 per share price as equity whenever they're making any transactions with the company. The other thing is that the insider there, is it the CEO, just transferred debt for shares at, I think it was 82 cents. And when the CEO did that, the price of everyday people actually dropped there for a little bit down to about 79 cents. And now it's rebounded. So that's why I had it on the list here to potentially go to $1. Zoomed will probably have earnings coming up. I doubt they have any news releases before then. But I mean, that's basically what we're looking at with Zoom, is just keep showing us how successful you are. And hopefully people are, expecting some pretty good earnings, which will help share price. Simply solventless, no surprise here for on my votes, 22 votes for Zoom to get to $1 first. Second place was Hash. Second the most people here basically thought that Hash would get to $1 first. And it's not doing too bad, right? At 80 cents, it's moved up from 74. Yeah, we're looking for more catalysts for them. Beware Holdings. I really like this stock, though. This is the steady grower. It's, maybe a little bit overvalued, but also with their consistency, with a great management team, I really wouldn't forget about them. I still think they have a chance to get to $1 first if institutional buyers step in at some point, right? So, yeah, I don't have much to say about hash until something happens. VOXR, it's a good royalty company, small cap stock primarily in Western Australia. No, I would not have heard of that. I don't. What kind of royalty stock is it? I don't invest in royalty stocks anyway. Operates as a mining, royalty, and streaming company. The company holds a portfolio of 70 royalties and streaming assets. It operates in Australia, Canada, Peru, Brazil, South America. Nope, typically not something this channel's interested in. Myself, I stick to what I know, and what I know is typically earnings in microcaps closer to me if I can get it. I mean, this company does look like it's been increasing pretty significantly. They're close to breaking even, but not for me. Sorry. I see your list has OML down today, but my Schwab is up. Weird, go figure. That's the arbitrage. If you're looking at the US price and I'm looking at the Canadian price. We were talking about that last week. There are sometimes opportunities when you see a stock on the Canadian side, if it's a Canadian stock, go up, there's chances for people to buy it on the US side for cheaper before it goes up. Doesn't happen often, but it does happen. Usually the hardest part is the volume. When you see, a stock go up in Canada or the US and it doesn't across the border, it's normally because there's not enough bids at certain prices. But we'll see that every once in a while where the price will be different between the US and Canadian price. And because Omnilight, shit, on the Canadian side, I looked at them this morning. I think the trading day was already 3 hours in, and they only had 6,000 shares of volume. They had almost no volume, right? So when you get that, you can get a difference in price between the US and the Americans, or between the US and the Canadians. MFA, never heard of it. Moving up since the dip, which has a book value of 18.42 with a 35-cent dividend each quarter with all upgrades over 11, close to 1041. Well, it's a good pitch. See your list. Yeah. All the uncertainty and noise being created by our neighbors to the south is weighing on the Canadian markets. Well, Canada's weighing on the Canadian markets too. I can't just blame the US, right? I think Canadians have to stop doing that. We don't have the pipelines, we don't have the mines, too much regulation, not enough industrial growth, and here we are. So, the United States, Donald Trump is creating a lot of volatility. I don't like that. I wish it would go away, but at the same time, Canadians got to look in the mirror a little bit here. What's happened over the past 10 years, and we've kind of put ourselves in a position to not be able to fight back very well, right? So it's weighing on the Canadian markets, and rightfully so. I mean, here's the problem. If we look at it a little bit closer, right? Right there, right? So this is, Canadian GDP per capita, right? It's going down again recently, a little dip right here. The United States has been going up pretty consistently, right? Canada's here, Mexico's here. Here's our Canadian dollar too, right? Basically the same time period. It was about 2014 or so. So that was right about here. And Canadian dollar was pretty much just about on par with the US dollar, dollar to dollar. And since that time, down, 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 down. So if you'll note about, 2014 or so, the past 10, 11 years, Canada's just been on the decline, right? Currency's getting cheaper and GDP per capita is getting worse. So this is the problem with tariffs, and this is the problem with Trump challenging Canada and the Canadian markets and looking at the macro of it all, right? We put ourselves in this situation. The economy is not doing very well, and unfortunately, it's low tide. It's low tide, and that's a problem. So, yeah, don't want to talk too much about that right now because I'm not that type of channel. But AVCN, what one is that? AVCN. Let me look it up. Avicana. Yeah, it's on my research list. I haven't looked at them yet. $30 million market cap. What do they do? Commercial stage biopharmaceutical company engages in the research, development, advancement, and commercialization of evidence-based cannabinoid-based products and formulations, blah, 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 blah. Cannabis stock from the sounds of it. Isn't that becoming popular now? Everybody wants the cannabis stocks, right? And nobody wanted them a year ago, 2 years ago. They're starting to make a comeback. That one is on my research list, but I haven't taken a look at it yet. NDA has done good this year and super excellent over the last 5-year mark. Good. T reported great earnings. Tell us. That's good. Yeah. Excellent. Anyway, let's see here. Just about done with questions. Don't forget, got a new website, www.commonsenseinvesting.ca, where you could have a look at kind of what I do. I got some videos up there for the Patreon, my Patreon Discord, as well as I use Y Sheets and Stock Rover to find a lot of the stocks that I'm looking for, some of the microcap stocks, right? Really excited about this website. Try to give me some breathing room, give me some time, because it's just a baby. I just launched it like 2 weeks ago. I have a lot of things I want to do with this website, including I've recently started a list of some of the best microcap and small cap investors and some of the paid promotions. I'd like to create a space where people can go check out a list and, go from zero to hero pretty quick with just follow all these people. I think they're pretty good investors. So that's where I hope that this website is going, and it's there right now. So High Tide is going to Germany. Yeah, so maybe. That's not the important part, though, if we're talking about High Tide. So the other thing that's happening that's going to be volatile or not over the next little while is earnings are starting to trickle in again. So it's been very boring. Well, not boring, but we're not discussing specific stocks because the macroeconomics right now are more important. GDP, inflation, rate cuts, and Donald Trump tariffs are way more important than anything else that's been happening in the markets recently. But Thermal Energy International earnings are out tomorrow, I believe. High Tide earnings are on Wednesday, I suppose, are out. Right, the earnings are going to start trickling in for some of these companies, and that's going to be pretty important. So, yeah, they did have a very good acquisition in Germany, and I look forward to where that goes. But High Tide's earnings should be coming in pretty soon. PFE end of the year much higher. Yeah, I don't know that one. Smash that like button. Thank you. Yeah, I think I'm just about done. I've said everything that I needed to say. Gone through everything that I needed to talk about today. So, I mean, good luck. Hopefully the next live stream on Monday, we have more good things to talk about. No tariffs, very few tariffs, maybe a rate cut. Maybe the rate cut drives the markets up and no tariffs ends up driving the markets up. I should probably hold more live streams on Friday because those seem to be better days than Monday. Seems like every time I have a live stream on a Monday, the market's down. It's a bad day for it. But yeah, whatever. I'm just playing. At the end of the day, I hope you have a good investing strategy. You're making money in microcap stocks. You're having fun. You're enjoying it. And let me know what you think. Let me know if there's any stocks you'd like me to cover down below in the comments. I can chat with you there, or again on my Patreon Discord. I'm there pretty much all the time. So thank you from Common Sense Investing. A little bit of merch here. Common Sense for Canada. Thank you, conservatives. Really appreciate it. Really like that. Have a good night to you as well. Hope you enjoyed the presentation.